What screams I'm too immature to date someone? Inability or unwillingness to look at problem or issue through your partner's perspective. Inability to self-correct or to take criticism. Deliberately trying to make the so jealous. Playing games like what will he do if I just stop responding altogether, or I wonder how jealous she'll get if I flirt with every girl I see. Not being able to clean up after yourself. View dating as a game. I'm gonna get that popular girl just to show I can. Having a list of qualities the other person should have but not once thinks about how to better themselves or what they can bring to the relationship. Not being able to talk honestly about sex and birth/disease control. Going to date a girl accompanied by your mom. Their Reddit username is WeedMan420BonerGod. Thinking love is gonna fix you or solve everything and make your life perfect. At least in my eyes, the people who have the healthiest relationships are the people who have learned to have healthy, happy single lives. That way they don't put romantic love on a weird pedestal and expect way too much of their partners. Not knowing how to communicate your feelings. This is something people seem to struggle with when they're full of themselves. I don't understand why people wouldn't date me, I mean I have such and such. Making the other person responsible for yourself, whether it's about your mental or physical health, feeding habits, cleanliness, or anything else. Not being willing to discuss a problem in a relationship and just breaking up instead of sitting down and talking about the problem. Edit. I meant this with smaller problems, such as offensive jokes or you're so repeatedly hurting your feelings. Also, there are situations where breakups are appropriate and discussions aren't necessary, such as cheating, but that's also between you and your so, and also am entirely different topic. Also, thank you for the great discussion in the comments. I love hearing the different opinions and having people open my mind. Note, I'm currently in college studying social work, so my comments come from a background of knowledge as well as experience, not just out of the blue. They ask to look through your phone. Refuse to compromise. Expects the other to drop their life to be with them around the clock, including friends, family, and job. Constantly shares and posts things alluding to your relationship. Constantly talks about their exes. Expects your relationship to be like a Hallmark movie and gets mad when you don't meet those expectations because life. Thinking there are any positives in any way to the relationship between the Joker and Harley. Being on your phone constantly talking to other people instead of talking with the actual person. Thinking PhD stands for pretty huge dick. If you can't handle me at my worst. Posting something online that attempts to describe all men or all women. Inability to problem solve, using everything to get attention, like running off crying and expecting people to come chasing after you. May as well wear a giant neon sign above your head reading "I'm going to ruin your life." Not being okay with being single for any length of time. Agreeing to date someone, ghosting them for a week, then calling the person they are dating clingy for wanting to spend time with them. Not being able to f***ing communicate. Something bothering you. Don't ghost me and stop replying until you're over it. Let's try and see if there's some other way to improve the situation. Also, being inconsiderate of other people's needs and love languages. Just being hot and spending time with someone isn't always enough. Learn what makes someone happy and do that for them, not whatever's easiest. Yes, I'm salty about a recent ex. S, E, B, Li, VED. They feel like they're owed a relationship and/or sex for being nice. Well, if you won't text me, I won't text you. No communication at all. Just passive-aggressive silence to something that leads you to try and work out what you've done. Not being able to buy condoms because you're too scared/embarrassed. If they aren't mature enough to buy contraction, they're not mature enough to rub their private areas together. If they are male, then acting like a teenager about periods. Unless of course they are a teenager. Then they will hopefully learn. If they think that flirting with other people while they're in a relationship is okay. Or if they think showing emotions makes you weak. Or if they constantly talk about their ex despite claiming that they're over that relationship. Never taking ownership of anything, and placing blame on everyone else. Bob, Sam, Meg, and I were all in our senior year of high school. Bob told Sam and me, "Tomorrow, I'm going to ask Meg to go to the dance with me." Sam then told me that he was planning on doing the same thing. Sam also commented that, in his opinion, Bob was not ready for a relationship. Sam did not tell Bob any of this. Therefore, Bob was understandably surprised the next day when Sam asked Meg out mere hours after he did. Meg went out with Bob. "Sam, I don't know what you're like now, but you were too immature to date someone back then," and Meg apparently agreed. When they are well past the age of a college graduate, but dating a girl who is still in high school. No, sweetie, you being 15 and dating a 25-year-old isn't because you are mature, it's because he's a loser pervert. Expecting them to cater to your every whim and put no effort in yourself. If you cannot compromise and work together, then you are too immature for a relationship. If they feel the need to monitor their social media accounts. Jealousy of friends that are not a threat to your relationship. X. A man or woman being jealous of their partner's friends of the opposite sex even if they're in a relationship of their own or not interested in the friend romantically. Cheryl from Archer. I only date boys/girls that have ex or are ex, usually coming from someone who has never dated anyone. People who take petty revenge on their BF/GF. He didn't do the dishes so I peed in his shampoo. Just talk for fuck's sake. Post number 1. Something like this post and I'll DM you what I think of you something. Post number 2. Guys/girls are trash and who the F needs them anyway, I don't need to depend on shit. Post number 3. I don't understand why it's so hard for me to meet someone nice and respectable. Yada yada, super insecure, yada yada, no signs of trust, yada yada, too preoccupied with self. If they are 12. I'm too immature to date someone. How tall are you? Crying with laughter emoji. Being incredibly desperate to date someone. Wanting it and working at it is not the same as pinning every hope and dream on it, because you will end up pushing way too hard and killing the thing you think is the only thing that will make you happy. I've been that guy. Anyone who, after a breakup, says they're going to stay single for a while, should. I've seen that lots of times though, and while they're usually right, they never take their own advice. Everything I do probably. Asking for money on Venmo. Thinking that pickup lines work. Has a flagella and swims around in a testicle. Over the top PDA. I've been guilty of this too when I was younger. It shouts insecurity. Doing the whole, I'm a horrible boyfriend/girlfriend bit to get pity and guilt. Some people may do it unintentionally or because they really feel that way, but if they constantly do it despite reassurance, yeah, no. That's the start of something toxic. My problems are way worse than your problems. Therefore your problems don't matter as much. Bad-mouthing exes. Pretending to actually love them. I'm a victim of this. If I spend most of my day hating myself, why would I healthily love a romantic partner? Deal with most of your own baggage yourself instead of attempting to chuck it at someone else. This isn't Mario Sunshine and you're not a pianta. Untied shoes, I guess. Big booking or subtweeting about your relationship instead of talking about things with you. A friend told her daughter she wasn't mature enough to date until she, the mom, stopped having to wash skid marks out of her underwear. I laughed at that, so my answer is when you're too immature to wipe your ass properly. Being 20 and having no job and criticizing a potential mate about not having a lot of money. Having a different crush every other week. If someone easily gets crushes on people without knowing them well, that emo speaks loads about their emotional maturity. They refuse to talk about your problems privately and insist to talk about them in front of all our friends SMH. Just falling in love instantly. I made that mistake once, and now that I look back at me at that time, that's just miserable. You gotta learn to get to know someone first and then fall in love or hate. I just fell in love with that girl because of the image that she was giving to the public. And I was just making myself look like an innocent, hopeless romantic boy who falls in love so easily. So cute, straight face, life is not an anime or a TV show. You gotta be realistic. Refusing to communicate emotions. I shouldn't have to tell you I'm upset. Ew. Narcissism. Self-diagnosing themselves with a psychological disorder, and using it as an excuse for every bad behavior they have. I'm sorry I cheated on you, but I am so depressed. Never inquiring about the other person or their life. When they expect their relationship to be like movies/TV shows and full of overly dramatic ups and downs. And 2, when their entire self-worth and happiness is based on whether or not they are in a relationship. Being unable to deal with your partner showing distress. If you see your partner cry and you look at them like they're a child having a tantrum, then just don't date, please. Bitching about the friend zone. Breaking up with someone over texting. 18 years old in profile, and born in 2002 in bio. Telling they're so if you love me, you would. They live by the mantra I'm selfish, lazy, and impatient. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Being incapable of being emotionally open and communicating all else. Being in love with love rather than your partner. Not being comfortable with sharing your privacy with another person. Not having an opinion on any topic, or being unwilling to admit you were wrong. Dating someone who treats you like shit just because you can't handle being alone. Girls thinking being crazy is a personality trait to justify their bad behavior. Getting mad at them for not texting you for 2 hours. People don't realize that constant communication is not crucial to human survival and wasn't possible for everyone until like 15 years ago. Anyone under legal age of consent. I once went on a date with someone whose mother drove him to the date despite the cafe being easily accessible on public transit. His mother made all of his food because he literally did not even know how to make packaged ramen. Both he and I are autistic, and he viewed us as compatible based on my sharing his diagnosis while being vaguely woman-shaped and able to cook. Going on one date, ghosting you because of your bad past, then texting you a literal year later asking what you're doing. No thanks, Tinder bro. Anything involving 69 or 420. Full of complaints with zero capacity to take criticism. Threatening to break up every time there is an argument/disagreement. As someone that has never gone on a date, many answers have been a little help, but I guess it can't solve everything. What I would say is something that screams immature is they think they can solve everything. Don't get me wrong, people who want to help is great and all, and they can be there at some great times. But if they don't think they have boundaries, they mostly end up hurting themselves, and sometimes others. Then again, I haven't dated. So do what one will with this. I want someone who can provide for me, will treat me like royalty, who has money, who's tall, will take me on romantic getaways, and who has a heart of gold. No uglies though. When you do date someone professing your love for them after only a few weeks. Kind of an odd one compared to the others, but chewing with mouth open as an adult. This is just who I am. How you treat other people, wait staff, friends, acquaintances, your own family. Imagine dating someone and you find out they're incapable of being civil to, say, co-workers. Well, my girlfriend was just recently dealing with a guy who noticeably had a crush on her. He knows she's in a happy, committed relationship, but he pursues her anyways, presumably because he thinks he's a more suitable person. There's really no other reason be as obsessive as he is. Very incel-y behavior. Anyways, he was about to tell her that he had feelings for her before being shut down by my girlfriend's roommate. Mind you, this guy is 23, and my girlfriend and I are 20. So yeah, if you can't even respect a girl while she's in a relationship, then you're not ready to be in one yourself. Shows a total lack of regard for another person's feelings. Bad-mouthing you to their friends during a fight instead of working through the problem with you. Then beginning to ignore you, taking days off work to hang out with friends when you haven't spoken in days, and then when you point out how little you've talked they call you possessive and say this is why my friends want me to leave you. Not willing to own up to your mistakes. If they go on Reddit for relationship advice, then they are probably too immature to date someone. Pressure to get into relationship without getting to know each other first. Usually followed by anger if you don't go along. Following you around like a puppy dog. This person is most likely insecure, jealous, and controlling. Grown-ups don't treat their significant other as a possession. Not learning how to actually understand that not everything is a comedy segment. Not being willing to understand yourself sexually, refusing to masturbate. Refusing to take care of yourself via health-wise. Not willing to take care of yourself financially. I'm 30 years old, can't develop many friends outside raving/drinking/party friends, but I love my mother living with me and she makes me happy as I use her as a crutch in life. Does that have any merit? They can't go an entire conversation without bringing up their ex or some old trauma. It means they haven't processed something severe and you'll get dragged into the cycle of trying to fix it instead of growing together like in a healthy relationship. Basically having number 2 or backup girls. The fact that you have backup crushes proves that you either think of girls as object that you can just replace if anything goes wrong, are a manipulator who only really care about being in a relationship just for the sake of having someone under your control. Also, if all of your backups are in the same friend group, always creepily hanging around them and acting flirty, even though you have as much charm as a fucking chair, is one of the worst thing you can do to those poor girls. Says see ya never when you break up with him. When their mother still cuts their toenails for them. When people can't handle long-term relationships and are single in their 30s and complain that every available single person sucks. That just means you're probably the one that sucks. Figure out what your baggage is and let it go. You'll find somebody that doesn't suck real quick. When, and I cannot stress this enough, your significant other says you're not allowed to befriend someone of the same sex and you go along with it. Demanding to go through their so's phone, or worse, snooping through it when they're not looking. Someone who doesn't try to communicate with their partner. They just expect the partner to know everything they believe they should know. Jumping the gun on social media. If they say anything remotely to "if you can't handle me at my worst." When they want the person they like to constantly text them, not giving them space and always wanting to know where they are. I know someone like this, and every time she complained about the guy she liked not talking, I thought just give him some time. I thought you want to be his GF, not his mother. We were all at a sleepover, so they were in the same house and it wasn't the time to have a deep talk about your possible relationship. Thinking it's healthy to go through their partner's phone. If you can't trust someone enough to allow them privacy, you have no business being in a relationship. Honestly, the whole crazy thing that I usually see with girls in my age group, speaking as a girl, if you label yourself as crazy like that, you scare me. It ain't cute. Stop it. Hiding that they have a kid from someone they've started dating. Went on a few dates with this girl, never one mention of a kid, then one dinner, blammo, kid at the table. There was not a follow-up date. She got all huffy in a text, "This is why I didn't tell you." I'm fine if someone has a kid and is upfront about it, not if someone springs one on you out of the blue.